Javed Abdi Foundation, JAF, which also stands for Journalism, Advocacy, and Fun. Please subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, like, comment, and share.
Sources of disability data. I think there are, Harsh talked about many of these points. We have the census, which is the biggest source of currently the data. We have the National Sample Survey Organization, which conducts periodically surveys at different topics. They also conducted the NSSO on disability recently, so that's an important source of data. We have Department of Empowerment of People with Disability. So if you go onto their website, you can actually see a lot of data reports. Check out their annual report. You can find a lot of data there. You have ministry, different other ministries. So for instance, Ministry of Civilization, you can actually ask them if they capture data on how many passengers with disability. You can reach out to, say, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Labor and Employment, HRD. Ideally, they should all be capturing data. Many of them are capturing it and they are reporting in the annual report, but many of them are also not doing this. Another set of source of data is your international agencies like the United Nations, the World Health Organization, International Labor Organization. A lot of them have global statistics. Many of them also kind of create India-based statistics. So that's another important source of information. And of course, you have the civil society. Many of our NGOs, DPOs, larger organizations, they kind of conduct several surveys on different challenges, different prevalence rates. I think that's another source of data. How do you get this data? I think, of course, all of us are millennials, or we are all in the internet age. So internet is definitely one big source of getting the data. Another way of sourcing data is to really reach out to your department or the stakeholder, saying, so if, for instance, if you want a particular data from the Ministry of Social Justice or your state welfare department for disability, you could write a letter to them asking for so-and-so data. If that doesn't work, you could also do an RTI. I have done a lot of RTIs recently, seeking data. We were preparing a report on the SDGs implementation, and we realized RTIs can be a very important tool as far as collecting data is concerned. And you could also decide to conduct your own primary studies on certain topics and certain places. 1932. So I think I'm going to, I'm at 7:30. I will very quickly take you through 5 statistics on NSSO. It will take not more than 5 minutes, and I'll open up for questions. So NSSO, I mentioned, they conducted a survey of disability in 2018. It happened between July and December. They released the data sometime last year, in the second half of the last year. Not a lot of hangama was made around this data, and and when I read through the data, I realized there was some very interesting information that is there. If you really see the press release from the government, it is all glorifying themselves. Oh, we've done so much well, or there's the workforce participation is so high, or blah blah blah. But I've kind of digged in through the report, and I see, there are a few interesting data nuggets which I've pulled out for you. So one is only 28%, roughly about 28% of the people have reported that they have disability certificate. Now, I want you all to think, for any scheme, any welfare scheme that you need to have from the government as a disabled person, disability data is the first certificate. And roughly only 1 out of 4 people have this thing. So I think we need to kind of look into that. It's quite a depressing number, and we need to really look at it. And 28% is just not acceptable, because anything and everything that you need as far as benefit is concerned from a disability, having a disability certificate or not having a disability certificate can be a showstopper.
Slide 13, 48%. 48% among persons with disabilities of age 7 years and above.
So another data says that 52% of people with disabilities are literate, and this is the data from NSSO. which means 48% of the people with disabilities are illiterate.
Alert from DK accurate all.
Now, if you look at the census, and you need to look at data in different perspective and different horizon, the census data said 45% of people with disability were illiterate. Now, does this mean has the illiteracy rate amongst disability has gone up or not? I think that we need to kind of question. Of course, the methodology is different, the survey size is, it's a sample organization, but you still have a large enough sample size, and it is assumed, it is believed that it is far more scientific. They kind of cover most of the regions, most of the district. And when you just see only 48% vis-a-vis 45% from 2011, one needs to kind of think, is the disability illiteracy rate which has gone up in the country?
Slide 14-23.8% period.
Next
Slide 14
data.
heading level 123. Man and woman graphic. List of 2 items. Bullet. Persons with disabilities of age 15 years and above. Labor force participation.
So they say that 23% is the workforce participation, the labor force participation of people with disability. This is an aggregate number. And here is where I would want you to think from a gender perspective. Now, when I dig through the data, what I realized, and so I saw, and I was start by seeing this, 36% of labor workforce participation was observed for men, and only 7.76% labor force participation was seen for women. There's almost like 1:5. Women are 5 times less likely to be, employed. So you need to really look at data when you're looking at also from a gender perspective. How different data are. How is it impacting men and women? Is there a variation between them too? And this is again very, very remarkable and really very, very surprising.
Slide 15 Indian rupee sign 24, 24, 77.
Another data is also, when you look at analyzing data, and again, this is the data which I have from NSSO.
Heading level 1. Slide 15 Indian rupee sign 24, 70.
It says 2417, roughly about 2400 is the average cost of disability that a person spends on disability related costs, right? That's a huge number. 2400 is huge. And in most of our states, the average pension is about 300 to, maximum, so most of the poor states give about 300, 500 rupees a month. And some of the prosperous states may give 2000, 2500 or 3500. But here NSSO, this is government data which says 2400 is the average cost of disability, related expenses that people spend. And if you look at it from a rural and urban point of view, in urban areas, this number stands at 3100. And for rural areas, it is about 2100. So, if you really look at it, it's huge. And, who's going to take the cost of disability? Again, most of our policies are not catering to that. So we need to be careful and cognizant of that. And the last statistics which I found, and these are two very related, roughly 2/3 of the people with disabilities have reported that they have faced barriers in accessing public transport and public buildings, which is again, a remarkable thing. Again, the government hasn't really put in a lot of effort. Nobody has talked about this number. Really 2/3 of the people with disabilities, government data says that they find it difficult in accessing public buildings and public transport, and yet not much is done for this.
Javed Abdi Foundation, JAF, which also stands for Journalism, Advocacy and Fun. Please subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, like, comment and share.